future of Iran is bright with young people like you just saw up on stage. I loved when Senator Torricelli spoke to us about history, because we are, as he said, in a very historic moment. Those young people and those videos show us that we are closer to toppling the mullahs than ever in the past 40 years. And as you know from history, we saw Nelson Mandela walk from the prison into the presidency of South Africa. I'm saying that because it's important to remember what has been accomplished in history by others. I have been so proud to call Madam Rajavi someone that not only I know, but someone I admire, because she is a modern-day champion against fascism and totalitarianism. And as Senator Torricelli said, I am not on the forefront. It's the young people who are putting their lives on the line today, all across Iran, who are the true heroes. It's all the martyrs over the many decades that the mullahs have been in power. They're the real heroes. They're the ones who've been fighting the tough fight. But I, along with you, have an opportunity to also make a difference. And I have to say, I may not have been around when Hitler was in power. I may not have been around when Hirohito was threatening the world with terrorism. I may not have been around to see the dictatorships in Argentina, Chile, and see the apartheid regime at its worst. But today, I am around for another historic milestone, and that is to see in my lifetime, in the imminent future, an overthrow of one of the world's greatest oppressive regimes in the history of the world, who executes more of their own people than any other country in the world. I'll be around to finally see them in the same dustbed of history. And you know, isn't it something that these mullahs can no longer get away with murder, thanks to you, and thanks to modern technology that can take pictures of the atrocities at Camp Ashraf 1, at Camp Liberty, at countless other places where this regime has wreaked havoc. And if anyone says that this Soleimani was not worth going after, I think to myself, 9/11. Does anybody remember 9/11? But if you wanted to look up terrorist in the dictionary, Soleimani's picture would be there. We need to thank God that we got him before he could take more lives of yours, friends, my friends, Americans, Iranians, Syrians. Let's not forget, he was standing right. Occurred. A quarter of his people in Syria, all paid for by this regime. When you look at the track record of this regime in Iran, but let me say, in conclusion, they can't cover this up. And of course, in the last few days, they tried to cover it up. Literally. They got bulldozers out and tried, if you can believe it, in the year 2020, they took bulldozers and tried to cover up the crash site of the Ukrainian airline. They could bury the tragedy of what they did to all those passengers on that airline. Shame, 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 and shame, shame on them for all of those who they were successful in covering up with the bulldozer. Shame on them for all of those of your family members that they got away with murder because they killed your relative. They often kept them in, tortured them in prison, and then they killed them, and they were your relative was never to be seen of again. If we are going to keep the pressure on Iran, we're at a moment now where we have to go and double down. We can't let up. We cannot go weak when we have the mullahs, as was said countless times before, at their most vulnerable in the history of the last 40 years. We need to push all the way, and the United States needs to be pushing for those sanctions, just like my dad did for sanctions on apartheid. Because if you don't keep putting the pressure on, then unfortunately you're going to see another generation have to live with these awful mullahs. That's just too much to stomach. We have too many faces on this wall already. We can't not wait anymore. Every day that goes by, there are more people who are murdered and executed by the mullahs in their attempt to hold on to power. So I want to say to all of you, thank you for being here. And it's been an honor for me over the last nearly decade to see how much has happened in bringing this case to Iran. And it's been because of the MEK. It's been because of all of you helping with the information campaign that you've lodged into Iran, where you've communicated what's going on. And they are now fighting that fight from Tyrannia. Don't you love that? Don't you love that, Tyrannia? How ironic is that? You got the diaspora fighting for a new Tehran in Tyrannia. But I want to thank all of you for all that you've done to keep this cause, because this isn't an Iranian cause. This is a human rights cause. As Dr. Martin Luther King said, a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And we have this as our common goal. You do not have to be Persian to care about the greatest civilization in the world. You do not have to come from Iran to want freedom for the Iranian people. All of us depend on each other, And I am glad that I am with all of you. Thank you very much.